Ladies and gentlemen, in under 2 weeks, the people of Brisbane will make a very important choice about their future. So now is the time to think very hard about the choice in front of us. On one hand, you can vote one for Team Schrinner, and if you do, you will get the team with the experience and good judgment to run Australia's largest city. You will get the team that has balanced our $3.1 billion budget in the black for 16 years and are promising to make it 20 years in the black. The team with the ideas and plans to make sure Brisbane just keeps getting better. Alternatively, there is the risky choice. Patrick Condren, who has never spent a single day in council or any leadership role and admits he has no idea about how to run the city. Who doesn't even know why he wants to be the Lord Mayor. Who can't even say who would be in his cabinet if he were elected. And of course he can't, because his Labor Party colleagues do not have one single day of cabinet experience among them. They can't be trusted to manage the city, to provide essential services like buses and ferries, to build and maintain roads and footpaths, parks and libraries and pools. They don't know how to do it. They only know how to criticise and complain. Quite frankly, Condren and Labor are far too risky. Only Team Schrinner has the proven track record of delivering for the people of Brisbane. It's a track record that goes all the way back to Graham Quirk and Campbell Newman. Think about some of the things that we've achieved together. The Clem 7, Go-Between Bridge, Airport Link and Legacy Way, the largest combination of major projects ever initiated by a local council in Australia. 500 new buses on our roads within 4 years and building the total bus fleet to more than 1,200, all of them air-conditioned and accessible for everyone. More than double the number of city cats, as well as new and upgraded ferry terminals, free city hopper ferries and the City and Spring Hill Loop buses. More than $320 million invested in bikeways over the past 12 years. 2 million new trees. The Howard Smith Wharves. Establishing the City of Brisbane Investment Corporation, our own future fund to plan for unexpected events. That's now delivered more than $110 million in dividends to Brisbane ratepayers. And we've used that money to build the roads and transport we need for tomorrow. And think about how Adrian Schrinner, since becoming Lord Mayor less than a year ago, has built on that great legacy. On his first day as Lord Mayor, Adrian outlined plans to build 5 new green bridges as part of our integrated plan for getting people home sooner. He also announced record investment in parks and green space. That was all on day one. And he was able to do that because he has served his time and understands how council works. Since day one of Team Schrinner, we've unveiled our plans to transform Victoria Park Golf Course into Brisbane's version of Central Park. We've established a Green Future Fund as a result of good economic management over many years. We've delivered on our commitment from the last election to buy 750 hectares of bushland. And we are finally taking action on the Northern Transport Corridor, which has been ignored by state governments since the 1980s. And of course, work is now underway on the Turn Up and Go Brisbane Metro, which will revolutionise public transport, get thousands of cars off the road, and make hundreds more buses available for our suburbs. The first fully electric metro vehicle will arrive this year, and construction is happening now at Rochedale and at South Brisbane. We've cut rates for first home buyers, and for everyone else we've stayed well below the rampant rate increases that happened under Labor. They might make crazy promises about rates, but we know the reality. If they get in, rates go up. It's always the same. Because we've managed the budget well, Team Schrinner has been able to provide free off-peak travel for seniors. We've reduced fees for small businesses. We're revitalising suburban shopping strips and we're spending record amounts on roads and footpaths. By 2031, we will secure 40% of our city as natural green space. We've allocated $23 million to plant and maintain trees across our suburbs. This will protect important habitat for koalas and other wildlife. We're also going to increase the number of jacaranda trees, which have become such an iconic part of Brisbane's character. We're providing record support for festivals and cultural experiences, which pump $7.8 billion into Brisbane's economy each year. We're investing in new and expanded suburban libraries. We're supporting local sports clubs and investing in our public pools and water parks. We're embracing our river with new leisure and transport opportunities, and we've continued to build on that record of delivery during this campaign. We've announced a $100 million citywide parks package, congestion-busting road upgrades, and new and upgraded libraries and school safety initiatives. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not just our policy agenda that's been revitalised over the last 12 months. We've also taken the opportunity to refresh our team, bringing in a range of new councillors with a passion for their communities and a passion for making a better Brisbane. But it's still a team with great experience and the ability to deliver vital services for the people of Brisbane. And it's the only team with a leader who truly understands how council works and what needs to be done to keep the city moving. The only team with a leader who has any experience in council. Our Lord Mayor, Adrian Schrinner, was in fact first elected to council in 2005 and re-elected in 2008, 12 and 16. He served 4 years as Finance Chairman and 8 years as Deputy Mayor. Adrian and Nina have 4 young children, and we know that they are what drives him to ensure the Brisbane of tomorrow is better than the Brisbane of today. He is the only leader in this contest with a clear vision for the future of our city. He is the only leader with the experience to deliver. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage our Lord Mayor, Adrian Schrinner.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Krista, for that very kind introduction. Listening to that roll call of achievements by this team, as well as by the Newman and Quirk administrations, really does underline the importance of experience and good management. We've built new roads, we've invested in new city cats and buses, we've invested record amounts into maintaining our roads and footpaths and in our parks and green spaces. But underpinning all of those achievements is that we have delivered 16 surplus budgets in a row, because a strong budget is what makes everything else possible. Even though there are dark clouds on the horizon, we will keep the budget strong. And while Labor is running around trying to claim that they could deliver budget surpluses too, we know that they won't. How do we know that? Because they always promise budget surpluses and they never deliver them. We've seen it in Canberra, we've seen it in Queensland. We know that Labor can't manage money, and they'll trash the budget here too if they are put in charge of Australia's largest council. We simply cannot take that risk. It's so important that we get the management of the budget right. It's the platform on which we build our city's future. Since I became Lord Mayor nearly a year ago, you've heard me talking a lot about making the Brisbane of tomorrow even better than the Brisbane of today. And I've been thinking about ways to do that ever since I was first elected back in 2005. And it's what still drives me today, every day. The concept of striving for a better tomorrow is deeply ingrained in me. It started with my dad, who left Germany in 1960 to travel to the other side of the world, to Australia, because he believed in the power of a better tomorrow. It continued with my mum, who brought him back home from Sydney, where they ran their small cleaning business together and raised their family, believing together that this city would give them a better tomorrow. And it did. My sister and I were fortunate to grow up in an era where Brisbane welcomed the world. In 1982, the Commonwealth Games, and then again 6 years later for Expo 88, we believed that our city had the world at its feet, that Brisbane could achieve anything, and it can. And together with Nina, as parents to 4 young children, I want to make sure that I pass on that sense of optimism and excitement to the next generation as well. My team has a clear vision for the future of our city, and it's a vision that looks beyond the 4-year electoral cycle and imagines what Brisbane can be in 10, 20 and even 50 years' time. And we're delivering on that through some of the projects that Krista mentioned earlier. Brisbane Metro, Victoria Park, new green bridges, our Green Future Fund and better connected suburbs. And we can deliver all of these things because we get the budget fundamentals right. And because as a team, we have the knowledge and the experience to keep our city on the right track. Ladies and gentlemen, I've spoken a lot in recent times about experience, about how there's only one team with the experience to run Australia's largest council and only one team with the experience to manage a $3.1 billion budget. And only one team who can deliver the critical projects like the Turn Up and Go Brisbane Metro, a project which will get cars off our roads, provide more buses for the suburbs and revolutionise the way we travel. Experience matters when you're rolling out city-changing projects like Brisbane Metro. And you can gain that experience in a number of ways. For me, and also for Graham Quirk before me, it was through serving many years as a local councillor, as a committee chair, and then as deputy mayor. For Campbell Newman, it was years of experience in the military and then as a civil engineer that made him ready to lead our city. But even the guy that Labor got rid of, Rod Harding, at least had some career experience in managing finances. But the guy they now want to make Lord Mayor hasn't worked a single day serving the public, never a day leading a large organisation, never a day in charge of public finances. In his own words, he says he's clearly not someone with experience managing a big budget. That's what he told the ABC. And then he went on to say that he had, and I quote, absolutely no idea about the most basic aspects of running council business. Now, it's normal in an election campaign to point out that your opponent is not up to the task, that he or she is too risky, but you don't normally expect them to join in and agree with you. But he has. Patrick Condren, in his own words, has said he has no idea about running the city of Brisbane. And we don't know who would be in his cabinet if he were to be elected. Not one Labor councillor or candidate has ever served a single day in a cabinet position. Not one. Now that would be bad enough at the best of times, because even the routine day-to-day management of a large city requires experience. But unfortunately, these are not the best of times. We know our city and our state and our nation are confronting an extremely serious challenge, a global pandemic that has arrived here on our doorstep. And as we prepare for that challenge, experience is going to be more important than ever. Right across Brisbane right now, large organisations are planning for the worst case scenario. Essential services such as power, telecommunications, banking and even supermarkets are all developing their continuity plans. They're getting ready for a crisis. Now, we all hope the threat has been overstated, but experience tells us that we need to be prepared. And there's one thing that not one of those organisations would be considering right now in their crisis planning, and that is throwing out their CEO and bringing in someone with no experience and no idea. Not one of those businesses would appoint a person to lead them through this crisis who has never worked a day in the organisation, never worked a day leading large teams, never worked a day making major financial decisions. In Brisbane City Council, as one of the largest employers and service providers in the city, we are planning for the worst case scenario, even as we hope for the best. Yes, there's an election on soon, but the work of being Lord Mayor doesn't stop. Health authorities are advising organisations and businesses to prepare for the strong possibility that large numbers of staff will be away from work in self-isolation. So we've been working to ensure that residents' red top bins will still be collected going forward, and we have that plan in place. We've been working to ensure that the traffic network keeps operating, even if many of our control centre staff are away. And our road maintenance crews can continue operating, and that public toilets are still maintained, and that plans are in place to manage our bus and CityCat operations during this period, and that libraries and other community centres can minimise the health risks. And so we've spent many hours in briefings and planning meetings in recent times. Not just me, but the entire council leadership team, drawing on their experience to make sure Brisbane is as ready as it possibly can be for whatever is coming next. Over the last week, we've developed our plans with waste management providers, traffic management experts, public transport gurus, our major projects division and our IT providers. And I'm pleased to report to you that the preparations are well underway. And let me tell you that this work has made me even more grateful for the experience I've had. 14 years as a councillor, 12 years in civic cabinet, including 4 years as the finance chair, and 8 years as deputy mayor, and now just under 1 year as Lord Mayor. Importantly, my years as finance chair, managing the city's budget during the GFC and the 2011 floods means that I've seen big challenges before. I know how an economic downturn can impact on our revenue. I know how the recovery can affect our expenditure. And what I can tell you is that now is not the time to blast a $117 million hole in the city's budget. That's what Mr. Condren will do if he keeps his recent election promises. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm grateful for the time that I've had to gain a solid understanding of how council operates and what we need to do right now, today and tomorrow, as we confront a major crisis. I'm glad that all of those years ago we established our own future fund, the City of Brisbane Investment Corporation, something that Labor has never supported. But we did the responsible thing, and it will give us more financial strength in the months ahead. And I'm extremely grateful that I have a very experienced and dedicated team backing me up. I say to you all, and to the people of Brisbane, experience matters. It matters every day in the decisions we make to run Australia's largest council, to build the transport, the roads, the parks and the bridges our city needs, to provide the libraries and the pools and all of the other services that make this a great place to live. But our experience matters now more than ever before. This is not the time to change from an experienced team. This is not the time to risk a Labor Party rabble with no idea about what to do next. A rabble that only knows what they are against, not what they are for. A rabble that would take Brisbane backwards. This is the time for people who understand what council does. People who wake up every morning motivated by building a better Brisbane. People who are ready to lead Brisbane through the tough times that we face. This is the time for a team with experience. This is the time for a team that delivers. And that team, ladies and gentlemen, is Team Schrinner. Thank you very much.